Hi students, this presentation is about fungi. In this session, we are covering these points which are related with our chapter, that is about general characteristics of fungi and few of the economic importances related with fungi. Let us begin with the definition of fungi. The fungi are actually eukaryotic, achlorophyllous, spore-bearing, heterotrophic organisms that possess a rigid cell wall composed primarily of chitin and reproduce both asexually and sexually. This is a precise and perfect definition of fungi, where most of their general characteristics are actually represented in this definition. Let us begin with its habitat. The habitat generally means where do they occur. So as you can see in this picture that they grow in different habitats. First here you can see that they are growing in forest floor and soil as a saprophytes. Even they are growing as a decomposers, that is also called as a saprophytes. Then they are growing along with some of the plants. Then they grow symbiotically. The ideal example is lichen, where they are growing symbiotically along with algae, and they are growing with higher plants, and they have association with their roots. For example, mycorrhizae. They are growing on dead and decaying organic matter as molds, and they are actually spoiling the food, and some of them are growing as parasites on plants as well as different animals. So as far as their habitat is concerned, they are cosmopolitan, which means they are growing everywhere. The mode of nutrition of fungi is heterotrophic. As you can see that they are achlorophyllous, so they cannot synthesize their own food material, so that they have to depend on other organisms to obtain their food. So they lack chloroplast and they absorb the nutrients directly from the other organisms by extracellular digestion, forming hostoria. Some of them are saprophytes, some of them are parasites, and some of them are symbiotic. Saprophytic fungi are actually the decomposers. Parasitic fungi always need a living host, and example is Puccinia. And example of saprophytic fungi is Rhizopus, which you can see on the bread, that is called as a bread mold. And some of them grow symbiotically, for example, mycorrhizal fungi, as well as lichens, where they grow along with alga. Here you can see first is a rhizopus. This second picture you can see which is Puccinia, and this third and fourth, these diagrams are showing the spores of mycorrhizal fungi. As far as their thallus organization is concerned, the plant body of fungi is thalloid, as you already know that when it is not differentiated into true root, stem, and leaves, then that is called as plant body thalloid, and fungi shows this type of organization. Then the thallus organization is of different types, that may be filamentous, that may be composed of a simple hyphae as well as a group of different hyphae together, which is called as a mycelium. In this picture, you can see that this small portion is there, which is called as a hyphae, and such hyphae, when form a group together, this entire structure is called as a mycelium. Some of the fungi are unicellular also. Here you can see that this is a single celled structure. This is single celled structure. This is single celled structure. So this is a very simple structure, and because of presence of only one cell, this is called as a unicellular fungus. Example is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Commonly it is called as yeast. Then the hyphal structure is of two different types. One you can see that is septate hyphae, and the another is aseptate hyphae. Septate hyphae, you can see that here there is a septum, and because of presence of septum it is called as a septate, while in this picture you can see that there is no any septum or a wall in between, and this is called as a septate. And the example of that mucor features aseptate hyphae, while agaricus, a common button mushroom, features septate hyphae. So this is what the difference between septate and aseptate hyphae. The cell wall of fungi is made up of chitin or fungal cellulose, and the reserved food material of fungi is either glycogen or in the form of oil droplet. So it is stored in these forms inside the mycelium, and it is used by the fungus whenever the conditions are adverse. The reproduction in fungi is taking place of three different types. One, a very common method is there, that is called as a vegetative reproduction, which simply taking place by means of a fragmentation. So mycelium of the fungus simply breaks into small pieces, and each individual piece can grow into new mycelium. Then in yeast you can see the budding. A simple cell is there which forms another cell around it, and on separation of that bud-like structure from the parent cell, it grows into new cell. Here you can see that here is a single cell. Then there is a formation of a bud, you can see here. Then that bud extends further. It extends again further, and all these small buds detaches from the host cell, and each individual cell can grow into new cell of yeast. Then asexual reproduction is the second method. Whenever there are adverse environmental conditions, fungi reproduces asexually, and that is by means of different kind of spores, that is called the zoospores as well as sporangiosperms. And the third, a very common method, when the conditions are favorable, then fungi reproduces asexually by formation of some of the sexual spores. And actually in this case there is a fusion of compatible gametes, and then there is a formation of spores, and these spores actually regenerate the new channel. Here you can see how the sexual reproduction is taking place in fungi. Actually, there is an involvement of compatible gametes or hyphae, and it is taking place by three different ways. There are three steps. First step is plasmogamy, second step is karyogamy, and third step is meiosis. In plasmogamy, there is a fusion of compatible protoplasm, and two compatible nuclei actually fuses with each other in one cell. Then karyogamy. The word karyogamy means nuclear fusion, and the nuclear fusion takes place, and thus there is a formation of diploid structure. And in the third stage, this undergoes meiosis and the diploid spores converting into haploid spores in the process of meiosis. And these haploid spores actually infect and grows further. Now, the second part of the chapter, that is economic importance. So, very first economic importance is there, that is nutrient cycling. So, there is, you can see that the fungi are primary decomposers, which means they break down some complex organic substances into simple one. And in this process of decomposition, there is nutrient cycling. And the example of a fungi involved in nutrient cycling is Rhizopus, which is commonly called as a bread mold. Second importance of fungi, that is a symbiotic fungi. Examples are mycorrhizae and lichens. Mycorrhizal fungi are associated with plant roots and they improve water mineral absorption and they help the plants in the biotic as well as abiotic stress. And example is glomus. Lichens are association between fungus as well as alga and they are pioneer species in the formation of soil and they are biological indicators of air pollution and the ideal example of this lichen is Parmelia. Then most of the fungi are plant pathogens. This is the third point. They cause severe agricultural crop diseases and they reduces the yield of the agricultural crops by their existence, either the infection on the root, stem, leaves, fruit, and different plant parts. Example is Puccinia graminis, which is commonly called as a vitrus. Some of the diseases can be seen on the stem of sugarcane, that is Coletotrichum fulcatum. Some of the diseases can be seen on the leaves of groundnut, that is called as a ticca disease. So most of the diseases are caused by fungi, which actually reduces the yield of agricultural crops, and that is one of the worst thing for farmers. Then some of the fungi are used in agriculture as biocontrol agents and they are antagonistic fungi. So their host is other soil-borne fungi. So to control different fungi, there is use of fungus which is named as Trichoderma viridi, which kills other fungi. And another example is there, that is Penicillin liliaceus, which kills the nematodes. So this way the fungi are helpful. Few of another importances that includes human and animal pathogens which cause superficial skin infections or internal respiratory diseases. And the example is trichophyton, which causes a common disease called as a skin disease, which is called as a ringworm. Some of the industrial and medicinally important fungi that includes Penicillium notatum, which is used to synthesize antibiotic penicillin and which is one of the life-saving antibiotic and it is used in medical industry. Then some of the fungi have a role in food and fermentation industry. In the food, in the bakery industry and in fermentation industry, this is a common fungus used, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is called as a yeast, and this is used in bakery industry as well as brewery industry, and it is consumed directly as one of the best sources of protein. So these are few of the economic importances of fungi. Thank you.